Attempt number 2. We're not trying anymore, we're just doing it. So Jennifer, it's great to be here and thank you for the gift of time.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to finally meet you live.
So the purpose of these, Jennifer, as you know, is to introduce you to people who are interested in resiliency.
Yes.
Because you've got a big story I'd love you to share. And also just to get people familiar with there's more than one way to be resilient.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of that.
Exactly, and yet a lot of people don't know that resiliency is a choice or a process. And so I think it's important that we explore everybody's stories. You know, we don't have 7 hours, and you wouldn't do the mini-series with us, something about you have too much to do. But in 20 minutes, you know, things can be said and shared. So can you share with us, what do you do in life?
I am a fitness and style expert, but my mission really is to help women specifically, I do work with men, but to get them to feel body confidence beautiful and start loving the body they were born in. There's so much fear there, and through my own learning experiences, I have become the teacher through my own walk of life, so to speak.
Yes.
And that, I believe, is my mission now, is to help women feel empowered.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. So how do you do that?
It all comes down to first the mental, because if we don't change this, this cannot happen. And I have a big philosophy of finding your own inner goddess. And goddesses have been with us way back before Christ and left documentation of telling us to have self-care, to have love and appreciation for oneself. And when we're younger as children, whether male or female, one would hope, if you had a good environment, you believed you could be whatever you wanted to be. You were a ballerina, you were a prime minister, you felt that with every cell in your body and you became that person. But as we age, the ego takes over. And we start listening to the false truths, the false beliefs that you are meant to be heavy, you're never going to change your body. Why are you trying again? Because you failed so many times. So my personal mission is to get women to listen to the goddess side of things, to reclaim that inner childhood feeling through coaching, to understand that they can be healthy, they can be vibrant in the body shape they were born in.
Very good. You hit a nerve in a positive way when you said we have these dreams when we're small. At one point, my youngest wanted to be a ballerina firefighter.
Oh, I love it!
And I said, well, you know, one could be a career and one could be volunteering. One could be teaching and one could be working. There's all sorts of combinations there. So yes, both are believable.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, no, you can't go to the fire in a tutu.
Well, you know what's interesting though, Mike, when you brought that up, is my background is so diverse. My undergrad is in fashion styling. I'm a personal trainer because of my health experiences, and I have a master's in museum studies. Those don't jive. They don't flow.
Well, you take an interest in older people then.
So I had to figure out a way through my own life journey how to make that work.
Sure.
And figured it out a way, and that's how Fit Your Style was born. So I really believe that whether it's a ballerina or a firewoman, you can figure out a way, you can find a way, you can truly make a way to make that. So you don't have to give up one part of yourself if you really feel that that's both of those things represent who you are.
Well, she now teaches music and sings as a professional, so
Good for her.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That's
yes.
wonderful.
Oh, great. So, can you share a little bit about your health journey and you know the issue, the healing, and lessons learned, and
Sure.
what did you have to do to get to be more you?
Sure. I was living in New York City. I'm from the Midwest, and I have a curvy body. That's just who I am. And going to the top fashion school in New York City, I did not fit the mold of what you saw. And there was a lot of stress there. And I was a person who believed in quick fixes. I took bowling and gym class at Madison Square Garden, got a D because I didn't want to move my body. I never worked out. I hated it. I hated gym class. I hated anything to do with physical activity. So I did the laxatives, I did the box diets, I did everything I could to try to become something that I was not. And that led into getting mono, then I had Epstein-Barr, then I was finally bedridden with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome for a year, which led to later on in life lupus, RA. So I really am a poster person for autoimmune disorders. And it all stemmed down to how I really wrecked up my thyroid initially because of these quick fixes that I was looking for.
Right, right.
So I look back now, and when I was in bed, bedridden, staring at a ceiling tile, and you know, if I could take a shower, it was a big deal that day. I realized that from that experience, if I didn't have that experience, I never would have changed my patterns or my belief system. And when I hit that final rock bottom, that's when I realized I need to figure out a way to get my life back. Because I had a fork in the road.
Yes.
Become my branded illness, which many people do, or I'm going to blow through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I purchased every book I could on the subject of fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and I laid them all out on my bed all the time. And I just started highlighting, and I started looking for similarities, whether it was California, whether it was Europe, and they all had similar mindsets. And I'm like, okay, if they keep telling me exercise, meditation, clean eating, and supplementation, hello, there's something here that I need to pay attention to.
Right.
So I started to create my own protocol based on their recommendations. Took myself off of all my medication, myself. I always want to check with the doctor, but it was not working for me. I was bloated. And within a year time, I was out of remission, or out of being ill, and I was actually doing Taibo kickboxing and burning 800 calories in an hour.
It's great, isn't it?
I went from, yeah, it's an amazing feeling. And we were talking before getting on camera that your health is the most ultimate gift a person can have.
Absolutely.
And when it's taken away, it's not until it's taken away that you realize if you don't have that vehicle of your body, you have nothing in life.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I work with females now, I've worked extensively with males, I'll never turn anyone away, because my mission, and I know we're very similar that way, is for people to realize how precious their health is and how to take care of it properly.
Absolutely. Because we have to invest in ourselves.
Yes.
If we don't invest in ourselves, or we invest wrongly with
Yes.
diet aids, then
Yes,
there's consequences.
quick fixes.
Yes.
That's right.
Absolutely. Very good. So that was, any idea how many books you read?
I still have a lot of them right now. I would say at least around 12 were my core. Then I narrowed it down to 3 that were really very important to me.
Okay.
And had them all laid out. And at that point, emotionally, I was so broken. I was not clinically depressed. I was screened for that. But I couldn't look in a mirror because I couldn't believe my life that I had in New York City. I had a very beautiful, abundant life in New York, working in the fashion industry, loving it, loving everything I did. My education was unbelievable. To lying in a bed, staring at ceiling tiles all day long, or watching TV, which I barely do to this day because of that chain to the screen, to not being able to look myself in the mirror. I looked in the mirror when I was sick, and I had no idea who was reflected back. And that is a scary feeling to have. So going back to those books, looking at that core and looking at the mental to me was so key in understanding how to reframe my thinking so that my body could get health again.
True. It's all about framing and reframing.
Yes.
Working with what we have
Yes.
to achieve what we want to get to.
Absolutely.
Especially with our health.
Yes.
Yes, because before we got to camera, and when we're off camera, the question was, would you like water?
Yes.
And it's a lubrication.
Right.
Our brains, our organs, nothing functions well unless we're hydrated enough.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Food is fuel, and you're right, we can have fun with food, but we still have to know that the premise of it, especially if you have illnesses, in my opinion, food is fuel. So you can enjoy everything else in moderation, but if you fuel yourself properly, you're going to feel so much differently than if you don't. So I don't know if you get that anymore. So when I cheat, I feel it.
Oh, on occasion, yes. I had more than 2 slices of birthday cake this weekend. White flour, butter, icing, delicious for the taste buds.
Right.
But not good quality fuel.
Right.
So
But everything in moderation.
So there's no more in the house.
Good.
I only brought so much home.
Good.
I was offered, and I said, no, I'll have just that.
It's not bad.
And I cut half the icing off.
Well
so
done.
I ate what I knew was good for me, not what I wanted.
Exactly.
I wanted the whole slab because there's a 17-year-old in me. I want to eat it all because it tastes good.
It tastes good and brings back great emotion.
And it feels good.
Right.
And at 17, I could eat all I wanted.
Right.
And
And
it
the
didn't
chemicals
show.
that go off,
But
serotonin.
It's
we're
the
happy.
wrong fuel for me.
Right.
So, like you, I've learned that for me, certain diets assist to keep my energy stable
Yes.
and up. So I love my multigrains, whole grain products. For me, other people that have had my digestive order go, you can eat whole grain multigrains? I said, yeah. Oh, wow, are you ever lucky? And I said, well, maybe it's lucky, or what else do you eat to soothe
Right.
a tired body, is how I put it, because I try to use non-medical terms so I don't scare anybody away. Because I believe my role is to pull people in to get them to examine their beliefs on what they eat, how they exercise, what do they believe about their mind and their body, because that's all part of being resilient. I'm not a diet expert, but inevitably people say, well, how come you're so healthy now? Well, I don't believe in fitness 3 hours a day because I have 70 odd medical clips in me and everything aches at some point.
Sure.
And that turns me away. So it's better to exercise to stay in tone so I can do
Absolutely.
5 flights of stairs faster than almost anybody I know. And
Woohoo!
my nickname for a certain somebody out there is I'm a demon on the stairs. They might be Olympic grade and everything else, but I'm pretty sure I could beat them on the stairs. We're going to have a little runoff sometime in September.
That sounds fun.
Oh yeah.
Can I come?
Absolutely. You can be the moderator.
There we go. I'll be the cheerleader.
Yeah. You can use the starter's pistol
Yeah, oh, that'd be fun.
and intimidate the other runner, please. Are there blanks in this, Michael, or is this the real thing? But I've turned it into a respectful game for me. If I have this, that means I better be really good at eating this and drinking this. Oh, I had 3 buckets of coffee today instead of 2. Experts would tell me drink and eat what you want, but for me, certain things, there's consequences. So some coffee, I
Right.
love my coffee.
And it works for
But
you.
I should switch to my brown tea and then my green tea. Keeps me hydrated
Right.
with what's appropriate.
Right.
So you work with image,
Yes.
you work with motivating, inspiring.
Yes.
You have a book published,
I do.
and the name of the book?
Is Find Your Inner Goddess.
Okay. And so that takes people on a journey to
Yes.
find their inner goddess.
It's a 12-week journey workbook. So once you
Okay.
identify your goddess shape, you are no longer a traditional apple or pear shape, as we are called, because to me that's very defeating to a woman's psyche, to look in the mirror initially and go, oh, you beautiful pear you. It's not a feel-good. Now if you look in the mirror and you're a hot pink figure and you're, hey, goddess number 3, you feel a little bit more empowered, so to speak.
We are using different words for the same means.
I love
Because I
it.
taught career search, and I would get people to look in the mirror and define themselves.
Excellent.
And they had to be positives. And some people couldn't.
Oh, it's hard.
It was just like, okay, bring your spouse. We had 12 evenings a year in the program. Bring your spouse and you're 13 and old up. So you'd say to the 14-year-old, one word to define your dad for his look. Has to be respectful and the truth.
Powerful.
Mhm.
Really powerful.
And I remember a 14-year-old girl, she said, well, why? I said, well, Mom gets the right job. You won't have no-name products in the cupboard anymore. You'll have all the names you want that count for good health and for fun.
Oh, I love that.
Oh.
That's powerful.
So fast forward, the daughter's now 28, and we've only chatted twice, but she tracked me down.
Did she?
Mom's got this big successful career going on. Yeah, it's just
Oh,
great
that's
to see.
wonderful. That's good to hear.
But when we get in a slump,
Right.
we can't define ourselves very well, or we've defined ourselves wrongly or incorrectly.
Right.
So I used to tease them that you're here in a 50-week career path upgrade. So to tease, here's your first definition I'm going to give you, and then you have to adapt it, mold it, throw it away. You're a lean, keen learning machine. You've come back to school for 50 weeks, 16 hours of classes a week, 30 hours of homework. Are you crazy? Good for you, the courage to change.
Yes.
So celebrate, but how do you define yourself as you go through the process? Because that'll help you decide whether you have a good time, a frustrating time, or an amazing outcome. And we had people coming in, being laid off, making $30,000 a year, leaving, going off to make $50,000 to $90,000 a year. Because
Amazing.
they not only learned, but they changed who they were and what they were, how they described themselves.
They redefine themselves.
And so, like finding their inner goddess,
Yes.
I was helping them redefine their inner selves
Right.
from an employment perspective. So we really do have even more in common than I thought.
That's fun.
Well, I read your posts, and
And vice versa.
read more, and I go, yeah, we have a very similar belief system. We're using different words for different markets, but
But that's
we're on the same path. Yes,
And that's why we are like minds, and that's why we are friends on Facebook.
and that's why we're here. So
Thank
that's
you.
good.
Thank you.
That's good. So by redefining how we define ourselves, it helps with our body image, which can then help us change our body image, and
Absolutely.
it might even help us change our body shapes.
Absolutely. And
And I found it helps people with their fitness, physically, but also mentally.
absolutely.
I've done some training with people in sales, and they get a lot more rejection than most. And I always tease them that sales is sort of like dating, because you get a lot of no's.
It's true.
If you aspire to hang out with the right people, they might not recognize you for all you are, and so you're going to get some no's in the beginning. And so how do you choose to define yourself? Give up easy?
No.
No means no, and dating and going for a bank loan, I used to tease them, but I said in sales call, no means later.
Yeah, no means next. That's
Yeah.
what I always say.
So it's really fascinating to see how our work has parallels and our health journey has parallels, because once I got calm enough from my cancer and my recovery to start to read again, it took me 2 years to be calm enough to start to read.
Wow.
Whether it was, some would say post-traumatic stress issues from, oh, we've cut you apart and you couldn't eat and you're 37 pounds underweight 10 days later.
Wow.
Or the shock of it all, whatever. It took me 2 years to be able to get calm to read. I could go to work within 4 months. I could stay productive, got a promotion, got transferred, but read for my own sake took a couple of years because I just going to be calm and lie on the ground and look at the clouds.
But see, it's fascinating how every story is so individualistic. So you were total opposite of me, where I couldn't get out there and perform. I would try, and I had swollen lymph nodes everywhere, and the fatigue, when we talk about water, keeping you hydrated, even if I drank my water, the fatigue was so unbearable that the only thing I could do was just curl up, and that screen, as I mentioned before, was not my friend anymore. I was so sick of having the television on, that becoming my life, that I had to figure out a way where, okay, books at least are going to help me along the journey. Because the big screen isn't. It's just buying me more wasted time with me becoming this brand. And that's not saying that TV is not an amazing tool for serving its certain purposes, but when you're ill, and you talk about you've got to figure things out. You've got to turn out the external, and you have to start looking internally.
Yes, I couldn't still grasp I had my calmness for short periods. That's what got me through the surgery and the pain management. I couldn't grasp the calmness to read. I could do it for work because I had to. My personal life was like, no.
Sure. And I say that about a lot of my female clients. The most overused word, and everyone that knows me closely knows I can't stand the word busy. Can't stand it. I think it's overrated because we all are. I like to say I'm active. I'm very focused on what I love to do. But you'll find, and I'm sure whether it's male or female, sick or not sick, we fill ourselves up with such busyness, so that calmness we don't want to reflect and see if we even have that inner calmness, because the busyness fills us so we don't have to think.
And feel.
Right.
Right. So yes, so I knew I was feeling big stuff.
Right.
But I was so filled with big stuff that it was like, I can't do everyday learning.
Yes.
It was fascinating. So fast forward, everything I learned in Shaolin Kung Fu, calmness, manage your energy, helped me a lot deal with my chronic illness and then my 2 bouts with acute illness. And then my medical emergency. So I wanted my viewers to see you today and meet you in a small way, because your process is a very powerful one, and it helps people understand there's more than one way to do it.
Absolutely.
And like me, you play with words.
Yes.
To get people to think and feel in a healthy, safe manner. Because how we choose to frame things and reframe things has large implications for happiness, health, body image.
Absolutely.
And when we were off camera, I was joking about somebody posted a picture of an athlete who's also an underwear model. I went, wow, what a bod. Mine's not bad. Parts of me are still 25. But
well
other
done.
parts are other parts. This is high mileage, lots of surgery, guys. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
But you have that internal health and that glow.
Oh,
right?
well, that's where the fun is, too.
Right.
That's where the homework works.
Right.
So that I still have the stamina.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't quite look like, as I joke when I get the odd kid that comes to the swimming pool, what happened to you? And they're looking at my scars, and I said, well, Zorro? Yeah, he almost won this one, but he got away.
You won.
Yeah, I won.
Well done.
Yeah, so it's framing and reframing. It is making fun, making a joyful noise about your process.
Exactly.
And celebrating the moments.
You were mentioning the safe words, and what's interesting, if you look around, you see there's a very particular shade of pink, and I resonate with this pink, fell in love with this pink, and everything in my life is this pink. And little did I know, when I was creating Fit Your Style, this pink is actually derived from love, the color red. And once I learned about color psychology and therapy, and this shade of pink is for women in weight loss. And I had no idea.
You went to it naturally.
How we are drawn to certain words, we're drawn to certain colors to make us feel better while we're on that journey. So we feel safe, as you mentioned, to be able to release and focus to get to where we need to be. Whether it's weight loss, health, or any kind of goal, right?
When I was first designing my company colors, I used to, still do have a few, I had a series of dark blue t-shirts and dark red t-shirts. And one of my friends of another culture went, you know, that blue is all about calmness. And that red is all about energy and fire. And I went, yeah, that'd be me. I want to get them all cut in half and stitched together.
Oh, I like that.
Because I have to work on my calmness.
Right.
But I've had the energy and the fire and the spark since I was, you know, my grade 1 teacher told my parents that Michael's handwriting will be a challenge.
So don't worry, that's what
Okay, good. We're back on.
We release them with love.
Yes.
Don't worry, I know where we were.
Good.
So you were mentioning not going outside and working out, and I
Yes.
mentioned my love for Billy Blanks and his energy and how he drove me to do what I do. It's very individualistic, and you don't need expensive equipment. You have to figure out what works for you.
I have a building with 20 flights of stairs, and they're large flights. They're not, as I joke, sissy flights with 8 to 10 steps. They're 12 to 14.
That's a serious workout.
And so you do 3 flights quickly. Hands on both railings, because I'm not here to prove I've got extra great balance. I've never had exceptional physical talent. My talent's between my head and my heart. The body's just coming along.
I love
It's
it.
an okay body. It's a great body, but it's not athletic. And then you slow down and you walk 2 flights, one at a time. And by the time you get to the top, the first 3, your body's finally going, wait a minute, what just happened?
Right. No, you're right.
That anaerobic's finally going, whoa!
It's kicking in.
So then you do 2 flights really slow. You just, at every flight, you touch the doorknob. That forces you to go the extra 2 steps instead of taking a sharp corner. No
Exactly.
cheating. It's my own standards. But it's amazing what just doing that 3 times a week can do.
It's incredible.
And then I tend to practice my balance in ways that would make some people nervous. And that's practicing to keep my balance as you keep your hands on the railing lightly, but you come down 2 at a time. And you get a rhythm going.
Wow.
Because the rhythm, I'm told, helps your balance.
Right.
And you come down, and so then
Good for you.
I am a demon on the stairs, because
You are.
15-year-olds say, I can't go that fast. Well, given I'm 3 times plus your age, didn't expect you to. Wouldn't want to take, I love teasing 20-year-olds. I didn't want to take advantage of your youthful inexperience physically. So I invite people to do things that make them stretch, but keep them safe.
Right.
So I live where I'm lucky enough to have access to a medium-sized swimming pool.
Nice.
And so I do what I call meditative swimming. 1 breath, goggles. I don't swim well because I'm not a floater.
Got it.
I'm a sinker.
Okay.
I'm told that has something to do with fat density. Of course, if my brothers were here, they'd say something about being thick. But you know, that's just brother stuff. And so about 18 inches below the water, you push off and you swim 1 length on 1 breath. You come up to the other end, you get up, you take 2 or 3 breaths, you relax, you take 1 breath the other end. And the goal is to do 20 lengths,
Wow.
1 breath at a time.
Nice.
Now, somewhere after 6 or 7 lengths, your body's going, you know, we need a little longer break now. That anaerobic stuff you've been doing's caught up. We need to refresh. So that's good. I'm not going to have a stroke for anybody. I have nothing to prove. But it's very calming and soothing.
Very tranquil.
So one of the things I get from what I read about your work and hear is it's all about pushing, but not to the point of breaking.
Right.
Stay safe, but keep doing it.
Exactly.
And so I have joy in that by August I can do 20 to 25 of these lengths, and I have these 18-year-olds that are Mr. Buff or polished and their physicality is amazing, and they get in and they go half a length and they're just puffing and they go, how do you do that? I said, it's being calm. It's not about high levels of fitness. It has increased my cardio and my capacity to breathe, but it doesn't make me a warrior athlete. It just means I've learned to be calm, to swim 1 length, and it has implications for my brain and my body.
Absolutely. That being grounded with whatever that physical activity is, when you put those 2 together, it's such a powerful tool.
Changes everything.
Absolutely. And you need both. They do go hand in hand.
So
And it takes tiny little stepping stones to get there. So in the book, we actually have little pink and gray stepping stones, 12 weeks of them. And you cannot move forward in the book and reading unless you're checking off that you're doing these various things: water, exercise, supplementation, and meditation. And if you're not able to check that off for that day, you have to go back to journaling work as to why you're holding yourself back. Because again, Michael, to me, it's here for this to happen.
it's interesting you mentioned the meditation. I work with some youth that we're helping stretch to their potential, discover their potential. And then I work with children as young as 2.5 to 3.5 with grandparents, because mom and dad are not available due to death or prison or serious health issues or addiction. So I have some kids or foster kids that have got big stuff. And you know, when you're 3, there's a whole lot of sense of being out of control, and some of them they're rightfully angry at the world. I thought I had a parent, they disappeared. What's going on?
Can you imagine?
So we help kids practice meditation, but you can't teach a 3-year-old to sit and meditate on an object or in their... So we teach them what we call, and the kids came up with a name, we called it slow walking. And one young man with Tourette's and other major issues, one day, puts his hands on his head and goes, Mister, this makes my brain feel funny. This is awesome. And I said, well, I'm glad you like slow walking. And he said, it's not slow walking. This is so slow, it's turtle walking.
Aww.
So I got my name from a 9-year-old gentleman, and I use the term gentleman because he's working very hard to be polite. But when you have Tourette's, you don't have a filter. So he might look at you and go, feet. He might want to say nice shoes, but that's not all he said when he said a certain young lady came into the room. And then he was filled with shame, changed color, put his head down. But we help them, give them, through turtle walking, a sense of here's a skill to be in control when you're out of control. We work with another young man with your meditation idea. We taught him diaphragmatic breathing, but again, 5 years old, we taught him belly breathing. And the biggest psychological paycheck we got out of that was his mother at the end when they were moving had me come over for a visit, and she said, so tell me what you told the teacher at the beginning of the year. And he said, I told the teacher that before we do a test you have to use your belly breathing because it helps your brains come out on the paper better in the test.
Oh, I love it. It's
so
true.
We are doing parallel work. This is really fascinating to discover that. Okay,
I love
good.
it.
Well, so what else do you get them to do? What else do you take them through?
They have to go through and figure out actually what their goals are, and we break them down because it is overwhelming. Especially if you're already psychologically defeated, you're not happy with the body that you're in at the moment, things are coming at you like meteors. So we actually we lay it all out and we look at which one is screaming at you the most, which one's really resonating that needs the most change. And we'll start there. Yes, we realize that these are other areas that we'll eventually address, but let's just move those all to the side because we have to start somewhere.
Right.
So let's start here, and then it's interesting how one will start having that ripple effect into the next one once they start to manage whatever that first one is that's really screaming at them. So it's just slow steps to get around the cycle. By the end, our goal is that they feel like they've reclaimed themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and that they've reclaimed their inner goddess voice.
Very good. So we really are doing extremely close work.
I love it.
Oh, I think it's great. It's great because in helping job search or chronically ill, which are 2 of my primary sets of clients, we lose track of how we define ourselves. We let the media pull us offside, our history pull us offside,
Right.
and yet we need to do that homework every day. Because I love my advertising. I love to watch advertising to see how are they trying to get me to bend my will. How are they trying to get me to spend my money? But sometimes we forget to put the guard up, and
So true.
they get through to us.
Oh, it's so true.
I remember working with some high achievers, but the high achievers were all there because their quality of life was at risk due to the fact that they were not old enough to live independently, but mom or dad were seriously ill. So these kids were all there because they'd done nothing wrong, but they were single parent homes, and mom or dad was very ill and could die, or was gone off to prison. So we looked at don't let that define you for your whole life. It's okay to slip a few pegs, but notches on the scale, but refocus, redefine, and how will you leave here to walk, run, soar?
Right.
Because
I
you
love
got
that.
to soar later. And
I love that.
it was very interesting to see how they said, here's how it's affecting me. And we had them sharing, so you're right. It's really powerful when you do that.
And I think the biggest, people always ask, well, what makes you the happiest? And I think the happiest is when I get those emails or after speaking and you have somebody coming up to you crying that you reach them, you hit that hot button within them. That to me is the whole point of doing everything that we're doing. That you've had that little shift, which now maybe that light bulb has gone on for them, because we both know as much as we want it for them, we can't give it to them. We can only educate and share our stories, but
Yes.
it has to come within, again, all up here again, this whole mental boundary is so powerful that we have created for our own selves. So to me, that's the most exciting. when you see that shift.
It sounds right. Sounds true to me. I'd agree. It's a lot of fun, actually.
It is.
I had a gentleman we coached for job search, and he said, "You gave me so much confidence that when I wore my slippers to the job interview, because I didn't put my dress shoes on in case the garbage dripped. But I was so excited to go to the interview that I went to the job interview in my slippers." And he said, "I even showed them. Here's why. Here's what happened." He said, "They thought it was spectacular. You're not even nervous about it. That's fantastic. We're looking for people with confidence."
That is great.
Oh, it was just magnificent, just magnificent. He still says hi once a year, and we haven't been in the same room since 1998.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice. But
It
those
is.
connections, they don't forget that.
No, not at all.
Just like I don't forget who inspired me or
No.
who my teachers have been.
One of my, well, several of mine, but one of my mentors just died last year. And
I remember seeing that.
And you go to the visitation and you go to the funeral and you see who shows up and you share why you're there and you go, wow, he did that for you and he did it so different than he did it for me. Wow, what a gift he had to be able to reach people in different ways in different times in their lives.
Because it's not about us, it's about them. And if we listen, we can aid. If we
Yes.
talk, they can't receive.
Well said, yes. So thank you. So you reach people through your keynoting,
Yes,
your one-on-one consulting,
correct.
you have your online,
Yes.
okay. Am I missing one?
Nope, so we do the personal training, the image, the online, the keynote, and through Fit Your Style, the book.
Right,
As
okay,
well.
good. And I also know you do some volunteering,
I do.
which is one of the reasons in the beginning we first started this conversation.
That's right, and you're a big help and
Well-
cheerleader, so thank you
Well,
for
I
that.
think it's important to cheer each other on for good causes.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
And
It's
I
a
look forward to
pleasure.
next time.
Excellent, I'm a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
Geez, I feel really comfortable here today.
We're glad.
Okay, so
I need a water. Can I grab a
start
water?
to go
Yes.
grab a water.
Upstairs
Yeah.
or over here?
I don't know if there's any left, you can
Do you
check.
want a water?
I do. And also, we get people to share big stuff and doorbells.
And doorbells, which we're not expecting.